Time now for the voice of the land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Always Positive Jay.
Well, 2 weeks in a row, the news just drops in our lap as the Guardians make a trade. Some people call it a big trade. I don't know if we're going to categorize it that way. Words are hard, but oh so fun. And that's right. It's time for the voice of land right here on the Big Play Network. I'm Kevin Arnold. He is Always Positive Jay. Peter Tillip alongside us as well. We are brought to you by Vector Technical. They'll get the right person in the right job the first time. More information on them to come as the show goes along. I mean, everything's all thrown off because we think, oh, well, it's the dog days of summer. Yes, the Browns have started training camp and there should be news to talk about, but there's not a lot of news to talk about. There was a lot of news yesterday, but it's more national than it is local. But hey, right before we come on, about a half hour before, the Guardians trade Amed Rosario to the Los Angeles Dodgers. It has been confirmed that coming back to the Guardians will be Noah Syndergaard, who used to be a very good pitcher when the Mets had a great starting pitching lineup. And now it's not pitched well for the Dodgers this year and has not pitched since June. It looks like more of a salary jump or salary dump. Jay, I mean, did the Guardians kind of just get worse? I know people have been clamoring for Tyler Freeman to get more at bats and Amed Rosario to get out of there because his defense hasn't been very good this year. Offense was just starting to come along. Did the Guardians kind of get worse?
I don't know if they got worse. We don't know. If the next person up gets that opportunity and runs with it, we might get way better. I mean, how many times have we seen innings killed by Amed Rosario this year? And I'm sorry if I'm going to put him down, but he's just not having a very good year for us. Defensively, he's been pretty terrible. But you trade for Noah Syndergaard, who at first, like, I didn't even realize what his stats were because I don't pay attention to the Dodgers. And I was, Noah Syndergaard. And then I look it up and I'm like, Noah Syndergaard. Yeah. 7-something ERA. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty high. But I think they want a veteran pitcher in there to just eat up some more innings because our bullpen is just cashed right now. And they need a break big time. So I don't think this is the only move you're going to see from them, though.
I mean, it better not be. I mean, that's probably the next question we need to get to before we do that. You kind of proved a point for me because on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it now, whatever Elon Musk decides he wants to do with that app, it's still more popular.
Can we just call it Twitter, please, on this show, like forever?
Yes, we're gonna call it Twitter. Don't worry.
Because I just can't. I'm not gonna. I'm still getting used to calling the Guardians all the time. I don't want to be saying I'm zeeting people and whatnot. Like, nah.
Yeah, no, we're not going down that road. We're just gonna stick to Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at @BT_pod, at Always Positive J, at Kevin7, and at Peter Tillip. And if you're tuning in tonight, or you are watching this on replay, or even listening to the audio, Google, Spotify, or Apple, tweet at us with your reactions as well, and we will read some either during the show or respond to you during the week. And speaking of Twitter, you kind of helped prove a point for me because I saw that Amed Rosario was traded. Didn't see the details yet. Then I jump on just before I jump on with you guys, and I see Noah Syndergaard. So I go, whoa. And then I looked at his stats to make sure before I tweet anything, tweet any reactions. And I saw it, and I did just the same thing you did, Jay. I said, whoa. And then I got people coming at me saying that, I'm like all excited about it. I didn't put any punctuation with the whoa. I didn't do anything like that. Whoa can react to many different scenarios, and the whoa is not a good thing in this case, at least from what it appears. Now,
I mean, dude, there's a whole rap song. There's like a million different situations like whoa.
Right. So Noah Syndergaard is coming to the best pitching developmental organization that is out there in Major League Baseball. I would argue that up and down as often as you would want. How much time is left in the season, how much he is available. I know that he was dealing with some blisters, but something that we do talk about here on this show because we talk about everything and we make sure that reality is still at the forefront of things. I saw where he had been dealing with some, like mental health issues. He wanted to get better, so they placed him on the IL. So he had an opportunity to do that. So with how much time is left, and maybe depending on how much he is available to this team, I don't know. And that leads us to we were told that they want to try to get a bat and more pitching. Well, they got more pitching, but is it going to be able to help them this season? This can't be the only move that they're able to swing this year.
Oh no, I highly doubt it. I really highly doubt it. You're only
if they're in buy mode, they cannot.
You're 3 games out of the division. You gotta go for it. And
did the Twins win today?
I don't know.
No, I think they lost.
Well, that's good.
So
no, we're only
out.
2. So you're even closer. Make the move. Go for it. Like I've been at, you'll see on the video, I go around, I ask everybody when I went to Andre Knott's golf outing, which I'll tell you about later. But I asked you guys the same question last week. You went 19 years of last place in 1 World Series or 20 division wins. And I'm pretty sure we all said we would go for the World Series. I didn't say 10 years because I wanted it to be so tough that you actually were like, I would sacrifice 19 years to get that World Series. That's unrealistic, obviously. The point is, we want to win. Like, this city is dying. Are we now the longest team, the team with the longest streak of not winning the World Series after the Cubs won?
We are. Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to be on that list no more. I'm done with being on that list.
1948, so we're at 75 years.
I mean, our attendance is up more than ever. So we're putting out. Let's see it, owner. Let's kick it back to us, man. Let's get some bats out. Let's get a bat out there. Let's get another pitcher. I don't care. Like I want this team to just go all in.
I want them to go. I want them to be one or the other. We still have a chance to make the playoffs, and when you make the playoffs, there's always that chance. There's always the opportunity to go. I know that this does not look like a World Series team, but I would rather have the opportunity to see what they do. They play well enough to win the division and get into the playoffs and see what that team looks like in a playoff series, playoff matchups. Again,
here, I'll ask you, is there anyone in the American League right now that you think is an unstoppable force? Like, you're just like, well, they're going to the World Series. Like, they're just loaded. Like, the Braves look like that in the National League, kind of. American League, Yankees ain't doing nothing. Like, Tampa Bay, they started off red hot. They're just pretty good now. Texas
down
is
to earth. Yeah.
They have no playoff experience. Like, make the move. Go. Get back in that World Series. Like you said, right now, we don't look like a team to get into the World Series. So make us look like a team that can get to the World Series. Like, this young pitching staff is just unbelievable. We are in it, and we had Tristan McKenzie go down and Bieber go down, and we're still in it. Never let that window or that door close. Keep that open as long as you can and keep taking stabs at it, those playoff runs.
It's like they dip their toe in the water, but they never jump in.
Yeah. So I keep preaching it, Kevin. I'm trying to will it into the universe.
I don't know what bat they can get, but they gotta.
There's bats out there. I don't care. Like, everyone's like, well, what are you gonna get? Do you know all the players? No, I don't know who's all available. They know who's available. There's someone out there that's available. We have constantly hear about how we have all this great prospects in our farm system, so rich. Well, why don't we just dip into that farm system a little bit? That's what I wonder if they're gonna possibly think about trading one of these younger pitchers that they've got right now and bringing in Noah Syndergaard to get a good bat. Like,
that's where the conversations are going to start, because now that Shane Bieber is hurt, he's on a 60-day IL instead of the 15-day IL. Like, no matter how we feel about trading Shane Bieber or not, that option is off the table. What you could have gotten for Shane Bieber before the injury to now, like, you're not getting anything. No one's going to take him because they know he's not really going to be available this year. Now, if he does come back, September 10th, I believe, like the Browns home opener and season opener is like the date that he could come off of the injured list. I mean, maybe a couple more starts get a rhythm. Maybe he can help you if you're in the playoff race, but who knows where this team is going to be in a month and a half when we get to that point. By August 1st, which is Tuesday, which is the trade deadline in Major League Baseball, this team has got to add offense to this lineup because we have focused so much on defense. And yeah, the bats warm up in the summertime when the weather is warm. But guess what? A lot of teams come into our ballpark in the beginning of the year and in the playoffs, and they hit home runs. They score runs, and yet we are the cold weather team that should be able to adjust to it a lot better. We should have the advantage, and it's the biggest detriment to this team because we have a lot of guys that just don't have power. It's all of this small ball. You need a balance of now the small ball and the power because that's what baseball is.
I totally agree with you. And I've been saying, like, I think a power bat would just truly unlock this lineup so that when we have all these pretty good average hitters for nowadays, I guess you would say, but how many times do we see 2 guys on, 3 guys on, someone else on, and then we're out? I want to see more 3-run bombs and 2-run shots and stuff. Like, make it happen, Guardians. Get out there. Do it.
Yeah. I'm being pointed. I have our resident doctor and baseball expert in the background pointing to her phone. She texted me that they might be trying to flip Noah Syndergaard as well.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they're done. He might not even come here.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, the Guardians approved. They are very crafty when it comes to trades.
She's also probably trying to tell me to share the Facebook post as well so that more people are actually tuning in and taking in what we have to say on the show.
We should always listen to her. She's wise. The force is strong in that one.
Yeah, the force is probably going to be strong in my son. The force in me, I don't know. That's still left up to debate. 32 years in, that's still left up to debate. The Guardians, where they stand right now, I mean, they got back to 500 today, 2 games back. If they flip Noah Syndergaard or they make another move, like these next 6 days are probably the most crucial week in this organization's tenure. Because if you don't make a move and you try to come back and roll something similar, another similar lineup out where you don't have power in your outfield, you don't have depth in the lineup, you don't have enough depth in your pitching staff because you've worn out so many arms, you roll that out again to your fans. Like the crowds that they've seen this year, I mean, we're going to go back to another 180 next year. I saw Hayden Grove at Cleveland.com. He's come on the show a couple times. He was driving past the stadium. People were lined up for a day game in the middle of the work week trying to get in, and they were treated to a great game. 8 runs scored by this offense. They're averaging close to, if not over 5 runs a game in the latest stretch.
I mean, they're finally into the positives for run differential.
And so they're making strides forward, but it just the biggest frustration of this team is, and Jay, I'm sure you can attest to this, is the whole we have to somehow we gain momentum and lose it so quickly. It's easier for this team to lose momentum than to gain it this year. And that's just the roller coaster where we've never hit any even close to the peak of the biggest hill on the ride. We're just kind of going through the little dips, and we have not ascended like this team tends to do. I don't know if message isn't getting across, or it's just, hey, you came out of nowhere last year, expectations were high, everybody knows who you are or what you were trying to do, and they adjusted to you, but you didn't adjust back. And that's a sad thing, and that's on everybody. I'm not here to, this isn't running people out of town. It's just a matter of fact. Like you can't have teams look at you, see a target on your back, acknowledge there's going to be a target on your back, and don't do anything about it. We've seen that with the Cavs. We've seen this with the Guardians. Browns, they never have a target on their back. I mean, it's the easy picking target, but
Once.
that's a different topic, and we'll get to them on the other side of the break. But
Here's my thing, Kevin.
Jay, by the time we do this show next week, do you think that there will be more depth in this offensive lineup?
Yes, I do. I think one, they, like you said, we've been seeing like those get going, and just like you said, they'll drop off. We need someone to inject some umph into this team, get them fired up again. And two, it's like I'm thinking Jose did us a massive favor by signing that deal he did. You have to they got to look at that deal like they just got a phenomenal once in a lifetime quarterback on his rookie deal. You have every year in his deal, they should be all in every single year they have Jose on that deal. That is their window to me. So every year that dude's on that contract that he's taking that pay cut for, they should pay the team back and the fans back and him back by going all in and capitalizing on this dude's amazing career. Like Jose Ramirez should not be one of the great players that go down without being a champion.
With the money that's coming into the sports world nowadays, I mean, Jaylen Brown just signed a 5-year, $304 million Supermax. And I've heard a lot of NBA experts say by the time we get 5 years down the road, and it's not a very long road to go down, that contract is going to look minuscule. Like that's just insane. And as more money comes into sport, baseball doesn't have a salary cap like basketball does, but that salary cap can continue to rise, and those contracts are going to look more like baseball ones do now. Where is baseball going to go? Wherever it goes, if the money gets more, Guardians are going to be left further and further behind for how they have to operate. Now they're not the only team, but at least some of the other teams try to adjust the best way they can. Like Tampa Bay, yes, they haven't played well, but as of late, but they have made adjustments to develop the power in their lineup, so they're not paying a lot, but they can still contend with some of the other teams, and they're in one of the toughest divisions in baseball. Guardians need to take a page out of their book. We give them all of our players, so we might as well take a page back from them. Ahmed Rosario, if you're just tuning in, traded to the Dodgers. In return, we get Noah Syndergaard, who's 1-4 with a 7.10 ERA, has not pitched since June, been on the IL, and we'll see if the veteran coming to a pitching factory can turn it around and maybe help this team down the stretch, as they are down 3 of their top 4 starters still. Each week.
Best wishes to Ahmed Rosario. Thank you for,
yes,
you can't say he never hustled. He did, like I always say, as long as you try your hardest, I'll always root for you. And he always tried his hardest. He had a couple great seasons here. This year it's been rough. Well wishes. Wish you the best, man.
And sorry about it, Miles Straw, but you just became scapegoat number 1 because people don't have Ahmed Rosario to.
They keep making plays like he did today in the outfield. He had 2 great plays. It just keeps him afloat.
We see the reality. I'm talking about.
I know they're going to come
people that they always have to find that 1 or 2 person on the team to completely just destroy and try to run out of town, and then stand on their platform and love it, and then they will complain when who they wanted to take that spot doesn't necessarily work out because it's a different role for that player, and it takes a big transition. Tyler Freeman, hope you're up for it, buddy. I know you can hit, and I've seen you in the minors before. Let's make a change there at shortstop. Let's see a little bit better, and I would not want to see those that wanted Ahmed Rosario out of here, what they would do to Tyler Freeman, and if that doesn't improve. But baseball-wise, we know we're going to keep talking about it. The season is still going on, and by the time we get to our show next week, there might be some other new Guardians to talk about, and we will touch on that then. But, hey, I know they're not in season yet, but training camp did open. So we are officially into the preseason for the Browns. We'll talk about them and some NFL contracts on the other side. This is the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network.
Whether you're looking to hire new talent or start a new career, Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that has helped thousands of job seekers advance in their career with reputable partners throughout Northeastern Ohio. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. With an above-average hire-in rate of 1 in 4 candidates, Vector works hard to connect the right person with the right opportunity the first time. Vector Technical hires for skilled manufacturing and light industrial work and is sure to have a career that you've been looking for. To learn more, visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com.
Welcome back to the Voice of the Land right here on the Big Play Network. Just got done talking baseball, Guardians. Again, the news breaking just before we came on tonight. Ahmed Rosario no longer with the Guardians. He is headed to LA. And in return, Noah Syndergaard coming to Cleveland. As more details come out on it, we will try to update those as we are on the show here tonight. We do switch gears to football. It is the start of the preseason. Browns opening camp reported on Friday, and then flew and practiced now 4 days at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. A lot of talk about the Greenbrier, what it has to offer. Browns on an off day today. Jay, just from kind of what you've seen. I know that the defense had a really good day yesterday. They're just starting to ramp it up. They're in a much earlier state than most other teams. Most other teams are just starting to break into camp. Jets and Browns have been going since last week. Things you're seeing out of the Greenbrier, comments from some of these players. What are you liking? What are you not liking? Or does it even matter?
It doesn't matter, Kevin. I'm trying. I was like, maybe I come up with some good take, and really, it just doesn't.
I know.
matter.
I was stalling because I could see your eyes and I could see your mind just spiraling out of control, trying to figure out what to say.
You know what the most interesting thing out of all the training camp I heard, and the funniest thing I heard, is Gerard Cherry, who is humongously jacked, was afraid to go play with the Birds today in the Hawks and stuff with Tony Grossi. That was the only thing that's honest. I swear to God, it's interested me throughout this whole thing. It's the defense is ahead of the offense. Well, they should be because they know what plays they're doing. They know what they're doing. Yeah. What do I don't care what they do in this offseason. Every offseason we get hyped up every single year, and it's just like, does it matter?
It won't matter until we actually see it translate. Like
exactly.
Everybody says like this is the most talented roster we've had, and they're saying it like it's some new thing. When have we heard that before, Jay? This is the best roster this team has had since '99. I've heard that half the time that they've been back since 1999. I think in 2016 and 2017, especially 2017, we kind of knew that, boy, this team doesn't look very good. It looks like they're just tearing it down to the bare bones. They're really going for Moneyball here. We didn't expect to see 0-16, but that's where we got to. We got to rock bottom, and yet we still, all our memories of actual football that matters is finding new ways to lose instead of reinventing ways to win here in Cleveland. I know that Miles did speak, though. That was one of we don't really talk about press conferences here on the show, but that's one I wanted to touch on with you, Jay, because we know the comments that Malik Jackson, former Brown, made about Myles Garrett, because he was here, he was in the locker room, and brought into question his leadership. I think Myles took the right route in how he responded, but just like your reaction to kind of Malik calling into question his leadership and how Myles decided to respond. And some of the videos we've seen of him actually, like, not just for the camera, but him working with some of the younger guys.
I thought the dude, what he said was absolutely ridiculous. When I heard that a while ago, I'm like, they're like, oh, he doesn't lead, he doesn't show. Like, do you see how huge and cut and jacked that dude is? he doesn't take days off. He works out like LeBron. Like, he is leading by example, and he said it perfectly. Like, not all leaderships are stand up rah-rah guys like Ray Lewis. Some of them are like we said, Nick Chubb, who just also lead by example, work hard. And I see him out there trying to help the young guys on videos and stuff. Like, I never see him straying away from his teammates or nothing, or being a me guy ever. Like, I don't know. I think it is, some of the criticism he catches is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, some of the criticism he does catches is definitely ridiculous. Now, other criticism, I've been critical of him. I mean, I want to see the next step in leadership. If leading by example is his style, the next step in leading by example is making the play at the end of the game. Now, he's made plays in the game. I'm not here to say that he has never made a play at the end of the game. But, and a lot of people probably throw stats at me to say, like, oh, he's the most blocked player in the league. Yes, I know that. He's made this many plays in the fourth quarter of a close game. Yeah, I know that there's stats out there, but in those bigger matchups, eye test wise, he makes big plays early and then goes away when the game is still close and it's on the line. Yeah, we trust him. A lot of fans trust we have the quarterback now to bring us back if we're down, like that quarterback to have that clutch gene. But guess what? If you score too early, your defense needs to be able to make a play. You need to be able to get off the field. You need to get off the field on third down. I still go back to sack on second down in the divisional round. We can say that the Dirty Dan did us dirty in that game against Kansas City in 2020. But you have a backup quarterback you get a sack on second down, put him in third and long. Patrick Mahomes, you feel like he's in 3rd and 2 with a 3rd and 13. Chad Henne, that better be a 3rd and 13 that feels like a 3rd and 18. Feels like 3rd and a mile. We make the sack. We're celebrating our individual accomplishment. Chad Henne goes and runs and puts him in position to get a 4th and inches. Of course, Andy Reid's going to go for that and seal the game away. Those are the moments. Now, we haven't had many playoff moments. I know that. But if you're going to win a division, these AFC North games, Jay, are going to be close. People can say that Pittsburgh sucks. I mean, yes, Pittsburgh sucks. I hate Pittsburgh. That's a common thing on here. I hate Pittsburgh. But in reality, they have not had a season below 500. They have a culture. They have a coach that has established what he wants to do and gets players to play above maybe what they are. Kenny Smallhands beat us in the last game. Those kind of games you're going to have to win this division, and it's going to come down to either the quarterback making the play or the quarterback of the defense, and that we go to Myles Garrett for him or Denzel Ward, someone on the back end. Someone's going to have to make a big play, and that's going to decide whether this team goes over 500 or not.
I'm not going to make any excuses this year. There's no excuses for anyone on this team this year, Myles Garrett included. He has the defensive line around him now that he's never had before. He's got a complimentary end on the other side of him that's better than anyone he's ever had before. They can't triple and double team him no more. The other guys will kill him if they do it, especially the way Jim Schwartz is going to be rushing 5 guys most of the time. So, I mean, I think he might have a career year, like for real, an unreal year. But if he doesn't, then all those people were right that were always doubting him and saying all this stuff. And I thought it was uncalled for, a lot of stuff I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
But this is his year, man. This is the year, make or break year, to see if are you truly the elite best pass rusher in the league? Are you just another pass rusher that's in the league?
Yeah, and let me be clear. I've never doubted his talent. I've never doubted that the blocking schemes that teams have gone against, like, he has gotten very little help to get around that. I mean, it's one thing to get around one guy and even 2 guys. He has the strength to do that. But if you got to get around 3 guys and they bring a 4th one over
there's so many videos with that dude, and you see he's got the tackle and then the tight end double team, he spins around him, and then the running back chips him, and then he's still almost close to the quarterback. Like, he truly is a phenomenal talent. Like,
He is. He is. Now, and from a different spot along the line, but Aaron Donald has, people know Aaron Donald is a great defender, and he's been able to make some of those key plays in those in winning time. That's that next step. And I think part of that is, and we've almost kind of seen it. Again, we don't talk about press conferences a lot, but if you notice, Kevin Stefanski's a little bit more forthright. A lot of these players are a little bit more forthright. Like, we've heard them talk like Kevin Stefanski before, and now Kevin Stefanski's turning into being more forthright. The players are becoming more forthright. Kevin Stefanski feels more comfortable. The players feel more comfortable. Kevin Stefanski's having, they're putting in the work, but when it's, practice is done, they're taking advantage of building chemistry, building relationships amongst the roster, having some fun, feeling calm. Players are showing that as well. Like, those things that matter, not what they say, but how they're saying them, what their body language is telling you. That's always the things to watch in people. And it sounds like from Miles that defensive player of the year thing, I know in the back of his mind, he still wants it, but I think he's focusing on what he can do and how he can help the team win from a leadership standpoint, on-field standpoint. He's focusing on the team aspect of his talent instead of just the individual accolades for his talent. And I think that'll be what helps the individual accolades come back around to him by focusing on doing those types of things. And that's the Myles Garrett we always want to see. And hopefully the changes that they made with defensive coordinator along that defensive line, hopefully those help out.
Do you know what the one thing we keep talking on, bring this back, of all training camps, you know what's the most important thing all the time, every day I look for? The no news, no injuries. Yes. That's all I ever want to hear about.
Well, you won't ever see no news, because if there is the no news that you're referring to, and I don't want to put it out there in the atmosphere right now, but everybody knows the no news that we're looking for. If there is no news, which is a good thing, news is going to be manufactured because you got to talk.
Like defense beating the offense. Like,
they haven't even played a game.
We got to hear about something. If your job is to go out there and write, you're going to have to write about something. Right. I understand that.
Right. I'm not taking issue with that. I'm just saying, like, we have to have that Brown story, because, like, they haven't played a game. Guardians are playing games, but, like, we can't allow that to be the lead story, So that's the only issue that I take. But I mean, the people that cover the Browns, the people that cover the Guardians, the Cavs, boy, I mean, there's tenured veterans on those media rows, and the stories that they write, the way that how they get their information, the sources they've built up. I mean, trustworthy is like, that doesn't even do it justice to explain how good those people are. Now, some of the football stories that are coming out involve contracts. We will go a little around the league, around the NFL, kind of react to, there are some quarterbacks up for extensions. One just got one that affects the quarterback in our division. And
Aaron Rodgers got an extension today too.
Well, I'm trying to tease this going into break. And
you said one. I knew you knew which one.
Well, there's ones that are rookie contracts up for extensions. One got one that affects another one in our division, plus the running backs. Where do we stand on the conversation around the running backs and their contracts? Saquon, what are you doing? We'll talk about that next, right here on the Voice of Land, the Big Play Network.
Are you struggling to hire the right talent, or maybe even find the right career? Vector Technical makes it easy. Since 1992, Vector has provided Ohio employers with a reliable process for hiring and have helped thousands of job seekers advance in their careers. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. We invest time to get to know each client and candidate personally. Vector places people in job opportunities that they are truly excited about. Interested in learning more? Visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com to see a full list of our current job opportunities and to find out what Vector Technical can offer you.
Get your gear at voiceoftheland.com/shop.
Welcome back again to the Voice of the Land, our Wednesday, July 26th, 2023 edition of the show here on the Big Play Network. Kevin Arnold, always positive. Jay Peter Tellep with you tonight. And we appreciate everyone that watches us on replay or listens to the podcast audio form as well throughout the week. And of course, thank you to our sponsor, Vector Technical. Again, as always, they get the right person, the right job the first time. There's guys that have jobs, though, in the NFL, and they're trying to keep those jobs, extend those jobs, or rework how the verbiage in their contracts are around the league. We'll start with the quarterbacks, Jay. And I know that you mentioned before the break, Aaron Rodgers got an extension. He came out and said that he would be doing, quote, a disservice to the Jets if he only played for them for 1 year. So the language in the contract so it allows for him to play at least 2 seasons this year and next year. How far beyond that, we don't know, but that's going to be up to him based on his age and how he feels, how his body feels.
Hopefully gone after 2 seasons.
Most likely gone after 2 seasons.
I can't stand Aaron Rodgers, dude. I find him highly, highly annoying.
No, just slap me in the face next year when we're in the offseason. There's, the only big story out there is what Aaron Rodgers said, because I am not going to be covering that. Everybody else can talk about it. I am done with Aaron Rodgers. I hope that we beat them on that Thursday night towards the end of the year. Which, by the way, did you see their legacy uniforms? Their alternate uniforms?
They're
white with
all right, nothing special at all.
Everybody was so jazzed about them. The best alternate / throwback that I've seen is the 1990s Seahawks one. That one looked clean with Smith and Jigba in there.
That one was good. I love the old Oilers ones. Those are sweet.
See, all right.
So you got a problem with them playing as the Oilers?
Real quick. Yeah. What are we doing? They were never the Oilers. I know that the Oilers franchise moved to Tennessee, just like the Browns moved to Baltimore and the name changed. But they were never the Oilers in Tennessee. Luckily, Houston has a team now, so they won't be.
But they have. Do they have the history of the Oilers for their franchise, like we have the Browns and the Ravens? I don't know. I'm asking.
I don't.
Because if they do, the Houston Texans can never use the Oilers. And I'm sorry. That uniform needs to be on the field. It's just too damn good looking, dude.
Yes, it is clean. It looks great. Love the look of it. I don't know. To me, it's a bad look.
There's no oil refineries that I know of in
Philosophically, it's a bad look. Not the actual combination of colors and uniform.
I agree with you.
It seems weird. I don't want to get us off track too much because we're actually kind of on time tonight. But the quarterback contracts that kind of matter, that we have our side eye on as Cleveland fans, are the ones that were drafted a few years ago. Justin Herbert in Los Angeles with the Chargers just got his extension to keep him with the Chargers, I believe, through 2028. Well, there's a quarterback that went to Ohio State but won a national championship at LSU, now playing back in Ohio with the Cincinnati Bengals. That is one Joe Burrow. You've seen all the pictures with him being a Cleveland sports fan, but now he is in Cincinnati. Jay, do you think he's now extension eligible? Do you think that the Herbert contract is going to have any sort of impact, or is the Brown family just going to continue to be cheap? Because their owner made some weird comments.
Their owner's weird anyways.
He's
got a lot of weird comments out there if you ever watch. He's a weird dude.
But do you think that we're going to see a Saquon situation with him and the Giants that we'll see with Burrow and the Bengals because of penny pinching?
As most people know, the Cincinnati Bengals are cheap because they're not the billionaires that own it. They're just a football family. Paul Brown's family owns it. The team is what they make money. They don't have outside sources. So if they do go all in with Joe Burrow and they make him the richest person, you might see a lot of trades after that.
I
A
think
lot of people be gone.
I think it's going to depend on how the season shakes out. Really, I mean, because
You-
if they don't get into the playoffs and deep into the playoffs, then I think they're going to cut their losses
With
it.
Joe Burrow?
Yeah,
No.
because they're
Do you-
cheap.
No.
Peter, do you?
That dude's
Peter,
one of
do
like
you-
probably the second best quarterback, if not third best
I
quarterback.
know, but when you're
Well-
looking at a ownership that doesn't have like the outside money coming in, I mean, you look at the Haslams. Okay, they spent a ton of money for Watson. Okay, but they're still, it's like they have a lot of money coming in from his businesses, and they have minority ownership. There's always ways they're looking at the naming rights for the stadium to bring more money in. So if you have a family that doesn't have that money, if the team falls off, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know if they're going to get, because look at the way contracts are going. They're not going down.
No, I mean, but the teams also aren't making less money. It is unlike baseball, there's shared profit. Like all the teams make
Yeah.
the same amount of money. So they're not like poor. Don't get me wrong. They're just, they don't have the billionaire backers like all the other
Right.
teams do. But they definitely have enough money. They make enough money to where they can keep Joe Burrow. If they got rid of Joe Burrow, that would kill that franchise. Their fans would revolt on them. They would lose tenfold if they got rid of Joe Burrow. Like no one would go to the games anymore. The fans would be pissed. They'd all become Browns fans.
I wonder if any of them are kind of up in arms right now, because what Peter just described, if they follow that, they kind of wait and see how this year 4 goes. That's the Browns' approach with Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield are nowhere near the same level. As much as I still support Baker Mayfield. I'm not like rooting for him to win or anything, but I was a Baker supporter, and I don't have any ill will against him. I didn't have any need to drag him through the mud like some other people did to try to get him out of town. He, again, another scapegoat for issues that went much deeper than just one person. But if they take the Browns approach with Baker Mayfield, I can admit 10 times over, 100 times over, Joe Burrow is way bigger, way better, way higher on the upper echelon of quarterbacks than Baker Mayfield can ever dream to be in the National Football League. They should be looking to get this deal done right now. You let this go into the final year of the contract, boy, that's where contract, we've seen it here in Cleveland. I'm not saying like I'm going to be, looking at it and like trying to follow it intently, but I mean, probably be laughing at them for dealing with these issues because it's not us.
Mm-hmm.
But you go into the last year of the contract, those meetings, those talks, those get messy.
Well, if they're smart,
messy.
if they're smart, they will lock him up now.
How did everyone see the Lamar Jackson before he actually signed and stuff? How did everyone see the Lamar Jackson thing unfolding? Everybody said he's going here, he's going there.
Mm-hmm.
No one had him staying. Where do you
Right.
end up going? They don't.
And that guy,
Teams don't let franchise quarterbacks go. You guys, they never let them go. They'll bitch and moan
Right.
and have standoffs, like you might say, or whatever. But at the end of the day, they're gonna pay the guy.
right,
I
but you
wish.
don't-
Oh God, I pray they couldn't pay him and he had to leave this division.
yeah, from a fan standpoint, but right now we'll look at it as media people, because I mean that's what we're trying to be, and that's what we consider ourselves anyways. Just an unbiased type outlook on it. You don't want that to get messy because, I mean, somehow they were able to convince Lamar to come back, because that looked like he was out of there because it just, the treatment. Now, his mistake was not having an agent.
Exactly what I was going to
So-
point on.
So that's probably where the ability to come back around and come back to the team and sign an extension came from, because either he realized it or just, not having that person in his ear telling him what's smart to do and not. From a business standpoint, every decision he made wasn't necessarily smart.
I also don't. Joe just doesn't come off as that kind of guy. My
He
fear is he's
doesn't,
going to give him a damn
but
discount.
everybody wants their money. if you earned it, everybody wants their money. We can only dream of a 1/10% of that money
I
that
don't.
these guys get.
I don't.
but-
I don't get the feeling from Burrow that he would. He would not do a Jose Ramirez.
No, I don't think he'll give that anywhere near that close of a deal.
No,
But
I think what he's going to do is what kind of they all do, because you always want to be the next higher one
yeah,
for the next guy,
Yes.
and you're not doing it all for yourself. You want the contracts to keep going up
'Cause
as
it
a
brings
whole, as a
everyone up,
football.
yeah.
Exactly, you're raising up everyone else behind you. That's one of the big reasons why Jim Thome had to leave, and Albert Bell, like he's like, I have to take this money because everyone else is dependent on me to go and take that contract, which sucked, but
yeah.
And I
hopefully
think
that
that
ends
says
up
that-
what happened in
I
Joe
want
Burrow.
I want to jump back to the uniform thing you were talking about before, because with Kevin, you guys were talking about this. It made me think when Houston moved to Tennessee, the first 2 years in Tennessee, they were the Tennessee Oilers.
Were they?
Yep. Because I remember thinking that when they moved, that what the hell does Tennessee Oilers? It's kind of like the Utah Jazz. Utah is known for its rip roaring jazz scene.
Mhm.
But yeah, so in 97 and 98, they
well,
played
remember
those...
the Jazz were in New Orleans.
Well, no, I know
Yeah,
that was my point.
Yeah.
Is they moved
Yeah.
to Utah, and the name didn't make any sense. But yeah,
Same with the Lakers.
So Tennessee was actually the Tennessee Oilers in 97 and 98 before they became the Titans. In
So
99.
now you
so-
can like the jersey, Kevin.
See, yeah, so there you go.
Your technicality
Because
was just ruined. I'm sorry.
Because I honestly, when you
Kevin's
brought,
like, no.
when
Yeah.
you brought up the
I never
Oilers,
like when I see teams move. I never
Yeah.
like when I
Yeah,
see teams move because of what we went through. So,
but I like the old Oiler uniforms.
Yeah, they were one of the cooler.
yeah,
they were
uniforms for
kind of cool. So
yeah, I mean, you think of like Warm Moon, like that number 1 on
Exactly,
the back, like
exactly.
that's
that's to me, that's
definitely-
iconic, man. That's
yeah. Well,
Man, an
and, I
Eddie
mean,
George Oilers jersey would be a cool jersey to have. And I think he played on that. I think he did wear one of those jerseys.
he might have, but he's one of those guys that, he was playing when running back mattered. Does
Yeah.
the NFL has definitely not prioritized the running back position. Derrick Henry is one exception, and Nick Chubb is now considered people outside of Cleveland starting to be considered the best running back in the league. But running backs like Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, running
Dalvin Cook.
backs, Dalvin Cook,
He ain't got a
Not
job.
signed.
Kareem Hunt, no job.
devalued is the running back position in the NFL. And I understand from like a scheme standpoint, the way the NFL has gone to a passing league, the way that some of these players are being disrespected. Now, I can't feel sorry for Saquon Barkley anymore. Let me just say that right off the top, because you're clamoring about the franchise tag and you're not going to sign it. I'm considering not even playing. He dropped a bunch of expletives, and which could have been somewhat career altering to do that and go at your team. Well, guess what? They offered you $900,000 more for a 1-year deal, so it's not considered a franchise tag. Okay, you sign back. That's fine. You decide to go on another 1-year prove it deal, proving that the injuries are behind you, but you don't get a no franchise tag clause. They can do this to you again next year, and you're right back in the same boat. So then when you start going on the mountaintop and crying boo-hoo or crying wolf, no one is going to come and listen to you. Then you make the running back position less important to those that are trying to support you outside of NFL ownership group. The way that running backs their bodies beat up, I mean, they should be compensated better. And Saquon Barkley was right to kind of lead that. And they did the Zoom call. Nick Chubb came out in defense of all the running backs. And then, Barkley kind of goes and does that. Boy, that Zoom meeting really helped.
Oh man. Nick Chubb said something that was probably the most interesting thing about it all was they want you to be a bell cow running back, and they glorify you if you run for 200 carries in a season, but then they hold it against you. Like, you should be rewarded for that. Like, running back is just such a grueling position, and they expect you to just keep taking that ball and shut up and do your job and pound away, and we're not going to pay anything. Like, the NFL is just so damn greedy. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, that's why you're seeing deals for, at best, the 20th best player in the league.
I mean, are they going to
Maybe
start breaking down where they're just teams are slotted instead of just a whole team cap? Like, you have 20 million a year for a quarterback you could spend.
I don't know if
and
they're
you
going
could
to do that.
That's probably not.
Yeah,
But they need to do something because these running backs are just getting disrespected. It is the true most warrior position on a team, and you're getting concussions, you're blowing your knees out. Like, look at all those old school running backs, how they walk now. Like, they struggle, and you're not going to reward them for that.
Yeah. Again, should they be making more than quarterbacks, wide receivers, stuff like that? Maybe not, but I mean, the gap should be a lot closer than it is, and the ability to get these contracts done should be a lot easier than it is. Like, it shouldn't get to the point that Saquon got with the Giants and Jacobs got with the Raiders and all of that. You can talk about their talent or their availability for their team all you want. Having a healthy Saquon last year, boy, that helps his quarterback Daniel Jones get paid $40 million a year. Do you think Daniel Jones is worth $40 million a year? Hell no. Hell no. And all you got to do is look at the record with Saquon on the field with Daniel Jones and off. Two different quarterbacks. You see, I think, more of the real quarterback with Saquon off the field. That dude, we all knew he was going to be talented. Injuries have just hampered him. Christian McCaffrey, injuries have just hampered him from being that. But the talent should still win out. And if they're healthy, you know what you're going to get out of them. You know you're going to have one of the most dynamic playmakers on the field in that game, no matter if people game plan for them or not. They're going to make plays, and they're not being paid for that, which is an absolute shame.
Do you ever get annoyed when people like point out how like the Super Bowl winning teams never have good running backs? But then I look at like the good running backs and I feel like they never have good quarterbacks. Like, no one ever does the flip side to it. Like, Delvin Cook, you had the most average, overhyped quarterback in Kirk Cousins. I mean, who's Adrian Peterson's best quarterback? You don't even know who his quarterbacks are because it was Adrian Peterson's show. Guess what?
Yeah.
The last one I could think of, Emmitt Smith, he had Troy Aikman. They just kept winning Super Bowls. I'm trying to think of like Delvin Cook. He's had Kirk Cousins. Who else? The guy in Tennessee, Derrick Henry. He's got Mr. Average, Ryan Tannehill. Like,
yeah. And all it takes is one team to buck the trend, win the Super Bowl with a good running back and a good quarterback, and balance pieces all over the field.
I mean, Leonard Fournette helped the Buccaneers win that Super Bowl a lot. Was he the elite running back? No, but he was a damn good running back.
Yes. And again, it just takes one team to buck the trend. And then guess what?
The copycat
They now
league.
set the trend and everybody tries to follow suit. Oh, this is how you win a Super Bowl. We've never won a Super Bowl. Let's do it this way. Figure out what works best for your team, the talent that you have, put players in positions to succeed. And on the business side, pay them for how much success they bring your organization. Like that, there should be more of a balance there. It's not our world to decide what those figures are and everything like that. But
like, how can a team say running backs aren't like all that important? If you have a Nick Chubb on your team, you're going to tell me that does not help your team immensely win games? You're crazy if you think that. Like,
the only thing that kept us in games.
Exactly.
That's for sure. But with that, we hit our final break of the night. On the other side, quick 5 minutes because there's a big game coming up at 9 o'clock. What are we talking about? I'll give you a little hint. This is the Voice of the Land, the Big Play Network.
Are you looking for a career in manufacturing? Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that has partnered with some of the biggest and the best companies throughout Northeastern Ohio. The recruiters at Vector Technical will coach you through the entire job process and will help you land an opportunity that you are truly excited about. Vector does not add any additional fees and offers benefits as well as free online skills training through Penn Foster. To learn more, visit www.vectortechnicalinc.com and make sure to check out our job board to see a full list of our current opportunities and apply.
And welcome back one final time to the Voice of the Land right here on the Big Play Network. Kevin Arnold, always positive Jay, Peter Tellup. We were talking American football on the other side, and players that make an impact on their team or not compensated for it. And one team to buck the trend, doing something different than anybody else is doing, and they still win a championship when people don't think it's going to work. Well, you could argue that the U.S. women's national team in the real football, soccer, as we call it here in America, as they are in group play at the World Cup, the 2023 World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. They are playing in New Zealand coming up in just 4 minutes against the Netherlands, a team that they faced off against in the 2019 World Cup final, beat them 2-0. The last game that these two teams played was back in, say, 2021, and they both teams drew 2-2. I think it was just like their little small tournaments, and the U.S. won on PKs in that match. Now, U.S. taking a different approach than we have seen. Usually it's with the women being so dominant on that side. Men have not gotten to that point, have not cracked the top 10 teams in the world, let alone hoisting a World Cup trophy. The women have hoisted 4 World Cup trophies, and they've won the last 2 World Cups. Usually you see it's one core group of players, and they kind of go for 3 or 4 World Cups, and then a whole new group kind of comes in. Different approach this year is some of the old players are mixing with some of the new generation of talented youngsters with the U.S. squad. And I think in game 1, while they should have won by more, Jay, I think you saw some of that chemistry still trying to be figured out. They haven't played a lot of matches together with this actual roster. We've either seen U.S. women's team either have more of the young players or some of the older players. The World Cup roster, when it was picked, was a good mix of both. I think that they're still trying to work out that chemistry.
Yeah, that's going to happen in any sport. You get a new team together, and you're going to need to work chemistry together. And you just hope that they continue to get better and better as the World Cup goes on. And I think I heard you say it on the radio. They have the opportunity to be the first team ever to win 3 World Cups in a row? Does that go for men and women?
That goes for men and women. No
Let's
men's team has ever won.
Man. Now I'm even more excited about it.
I would love nothing more than to make history and again continue to prove why women's sports matter just like men's sports. It's all sports. I don't even want to distinguish it between men's and women's. I know that's just what it is, but I mean, who's been more dominant? The women's side. People may argue that the talent level across the world is not the same that it is across the world on the men's side. That's totally fine, but there are plenty of talented countries, talented squads around the world, and the U.S. just continues to roll out talented roster after talented roster after talented roster, and they develop these players. Men's team, take note. Jay, you were said in the break you wanted to mention some of these names that are on the roster. So let me go through some of the names that people may know if you have watched this team in the past. Alex Morgan, striker. Some people may know that name. Megan Rapinoe, Julie Ertz, Lindsey Horan, one of the captains. Rose Lavelle had a beautiful left big curler in the final against the Netherlands back in 2019, and she's coming off an injury. Our goalie is Alyssa Nair, her second World Cup with this team. I mean, the defenders keep everything in front of them that just makes her job easier, and yet she has the mental toughness. One of the hardest things to do in the sport of soccer, playing goalkeeper, is if you're dominating possession, you're dominating the offensive attack on the other side. And just like with Vietnam 5 nights ago, they weren't really getting any shots even close to the net. But that one opportunity or those two opportunities they get, they come 60 minutes apart. Well, you got to have a lot of mental toughness as a goalkeeper to react,
Focus.
get down, or focus and make that save. Now, some of the newer names that people may not know, Jay, need to highlight someone like Trinity Rodman. Yes, that is Dennis Rodman's daughter.
Oh, really?
Savannah. Yes. Yes, Trinity Rodman is Dennis Rodman.
Oh, cool.
Yes, one of the best rebounders in NBA history. His daughter is I believe, 20 years old. One of the bright young stars for the team. You have, I'm just kind of going through here, Sofia Huerta on defense, Savannah D'Amelio, Alyssa Thompson, Sophia Smith. That is a name, Jay. If not for anything else in a soccer conversation on the women's side of the game, Sophia Smith is a name to watch out for, because this, I'm telling you, as a first-time World Cup participant, this girl has it. Whatever that is in soccer, she has it. This is going to be someone that is probably going to, be that next Alex Morgan or whatever, like that name that you go to. Everybody goes to Mia Hamm or Brandy Chastain from the 1999 World Cup. A lot of people will go to, or they'll go to the goalkeeper Brianna Scurry. They'll go to Alex Morgan. They'll go to Abby Wambach as a former top player. Sophia Smith is part of that next wave. And I think that she definitely has not only a bright present, but a bright future ahead of her. And I look forward to seeing how she reacts in a big matchup with the Netherlands here tonight. Go USA. Let's get another win. Let's put ourselves at the top of the group here tonight. It's only game 2. It's still the group stage. We're not in the knockout stages yet, but a loss tonight would not be something that they want to go into and try to look at goal differential and all those other tiebreakers going into the final group match play later on this week.
Is there a sport we don't talk about? Do we talk a lot of different sports in the show? We did fishing, soccer. Have we probably talked on hockey at one point?
We've done golf.
Yes, I know we've
done golf.
We've done golf. We need to get our friend Ed Rupert back on the show, because I know that show or the US Am Tour, I know, is going to be going to Manakiki here soon. I think he said that was coming up in August, so we need to see if we can connect with him on that. That's right in Peter and Mai's backyard over here in Willoughby. So we definitely need to connect with him. I'll mention, we want to look at Team USA. I'll mention Katie Ledecky, swimming.
Mm-hmm.
She just tied Michael Phelps's record for the most individual gold medals at World Championships. Yes, maybe a misconception. The sports you see at the Olympics, they are actually performing and they are actually competing every other year
round,
in between the Olympics. But they're just individual. They're not with the rest of Team USA. That they're not walking out with the track and field athletes and the basketball athletes and everything like that. They have their own world championships. In the Winter Olympics, ice skating, there's world championships with that, with gymnastics, all of that stuff. Katie Ledecky, again, highlighting women's sports here. Like
there it is. Now we talk
it all
swimming.
here. Yeah, and now we talk swimming. Like I'll break that down any day, but we are out of time here tonight. So that is going to cut it off for how many sports we can cover this week. Which ones will we cover next week? What other news might break? Will we get a breaking news story right before we come on the air? Who will the Guardians trade for? We'll touch on all of that next week. Thank you so much for all of you who have tuned in here tonight. But as a reminder, for Always Positive Jay and Peter Tellep, thanks to our Big Play family and our sponsors with Vector Technical. Got to remind all you sports fans, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. We truly love you all 3,000. Jay?
Don't talk about it, be about it.
That's what we want the Browns to do, and we again love you all 3,000 and live life all gas, no breaks. That's going to do it for this edition of The Voiceland right here on the Big Play Network. See you next week.